Hey everyone, it's been quite a while. I did a maintenance on Piggy's tank. If you remember, Piggy is basically the Dwarf Gourami which I rescued 5 months back. So far, he had been doing really good in this 1 foot cube epiphyte dominated tank. So today, let's do a maintenance of his tank. At the very beginning, I start scrubbing the glass using a glass cleaner. This particular glass cleaner had been purchased from Amazon and it had been quite handy in my regular tank maintenance. As you can see, this tank is pretty dominated by various types of epiphyte plants. When I mention epiphyte is basically the plants which you can stick or wedge on rock or driftwood and it can pretty much thrive. It doesn't require substrate and it can absorb nutrients from water column. It had been known as the most beginner friendly plant. So as you can see, I normally do 50 to 60% water change and Piggy is not at all happy with the water change. He seems quite curious with what is going on with his tank and he keeps checking me. That is the best thing about keeping a Dwarf Gourami. It's pretty intelligent and it knows what exactly is going on around him. Dwarf Gourami is very underrated fish, and if you want to start fish keeping, I'll definitely recommend to start it with a Dwarf Gourami. It is a very personable, hardy and quite interesting fish. As you can see, right now I'm filling up his water and he's watching. He's definitely not happy, but he's simply keeping an eye on what exactly is going on. Luckily my tap water is pretty good and it doesn't contain any chlorine, so I can pretty much fill up the tank using the tap water. But just to be on safe side, I do use Sikkim Prime after water change. I simply pour 1 capful of Sikkim Prime just to ensure my fish is not suffering from any kind of chlorine burn or not being harmed by various types of heavy metal present in tap water. After filling in, right now it's time to add fertilizer for the plants. I use dry chemicals like potassium nitrate, potassium sulfate, monopotassium phosphate and microfertilizer for plants. The reason I use dry dosing is simply because it's a cheap alternative of branded liquid fertilizer and it's quite pocket friendly for me as well. I simply pour in the desired amount of each fertilizer in a small cup, then add water to it, simply stir it and then dump the entire thing to my tank. Now the amount of each fertilizer that I need to add can be easily calculated from rotalabutterfly.com. I had been using it for last 12 years and it had worked fine for me. If you have multiple planted tanks like me, then by using this website, you can save quite an amount of money. Even though this tank is filled with various epiphyte plants, but it still has CO2 injection. You can see after water change, the plant seems to be very happy. I highly advocate utilizing pressurized CO2 in all types of planted tank. I have noticed in my 12 years of planted tank experience, with the CO2 injection, you will have less amount of algae issues and other issues, and your plants will like addition of CO2 as well. As you can see in this particular planted tank, all the epiphyte plants are pretty much thriving. If your plants are growing, then it takes up the nutrients from the water column readily, which in turn benefits the fish. Here you can see Piggy is quite happy with its home. It's filled with plant and has a specific cave designed for him. He's pretty interactive and he interacts with me on daily basis. Here you can see whenever I tap on glass, he responds by tapping back. I had been enjoying this tank for quite some time and I intend to keep it as it is for at least upcoming 1 year. I'll keep you posted about the progress, so stay tuned for more video on this. I hope you like this video. If yes, then feel free to subscribe and share this video with your friends and family.